It looks like what I have here is a B-24 named the Bungay Buckaroo. Okay. Sometimes, sometimes the names are obvious where they come from, and other times it's less obvious.
Less obvious. Looks like some kind of a donkey.
It's a donkey on a bomb.
Sure.
Yeah. So I said, this is B-24. I actually worked with a guy whose grandfather was a B-24 crewman in Italy during World War II.
Huh.
So this was basically the other bomber, primary major bomber of the U.S. military during World War II. So this and the B-17, which we saw earlier. B-24 was, I want to say, could carry a larger bomb load, but was a little more fragile. So not quite as tough as the B-17, and being able to absorb damage and keep flying. And I believe they may have had a little bit more range also, but I'm not 100% sure. Interestingly enough, I actually found out it's based on where the wings were located, is that if this plane had to crash land in the water, it would flip over.
Was it supposed to?
No.
That was just a bad thing it did.
That was just the nature of the way the aircraft was designed, basically, with the low belly and the kind of high to midline positioned wing. I think I watched a documentary about them trying to recover a B-24 in the Mediterranean.
And it was flipped over?
And it flipped over. And they found out that they didn't know right away. They just kind of found later on. There's like, wow, we have a lot of crash landing B-24s that flipped upon landing. Crash landing. Oh, here we have the A-26. Remember we saw another A-26 outside. Oh, wait, what is this? This looks German. We have not seen a lot of foreign aircraft, especially not World War II era. No, this is Russian. Sturmovik. I don't do Russian. So this was a bomber. Originally designed as a single-seater, and they later rushed out a two-seater version to add a rear gunner with some minor modifications to improve stability and performance. Over 36,000 models of this were produced, making it the most produced military aircraft design of all time.
It's too many.
So this aircraft was built in February of 1943. In January 28th, 1944, it was shot down while attacking German troops near Leningrad. The pilot landed the damaged aircraft on a frozen lake. He and his gunner both survived and returned to their unit a few days later. And the lake thawed in the spring. The aircraft sank, but was recovered in 1992. So I said, Soviets used this as basically a ground attack, close air support aircraft. It was considered very heavily armored and very sturdy and survivable. So it's not all airplanes here. So this is a glide bomb. This is apparently, I believe this is radio guided. Yes. So the bomb creator said this bomb is responsible for sinking the Italian battleship Roma after Italy surrendered to the Allies.
Wait, after it surrendered?
Yes. Germany didn't want the U.S. to get the hold of the battleship and be able to use it, so they used one of these bombs to sink it.
Oh, I didn't realize that was one of their bombs. I thought it was one of ours.
It was a German bomb.
Got it.
Yeah, these are actually radio guided. And here behind it we have the V1 rocket. They called it V1, who's supposed to stand for victory. So
I knew this was theirs.
Yeah.
Those were the ones that they attacked a lot of the Battle of Britain.
Yes. So yeah, these were often launched against England. Germany would employ it as a terror weapon, and basically it's like they could kind of aim it, but it wasn't that accurate. And they were kind of fast, but they were not fast with the jet engine. But they were not so fast that they could outrun fighters. As a matter of fact, it was common for fighters to, instead of trying to shoot it down with machine guns, they would fly up and knock it over with their wingtips.
And then it would just tumble out?
And it would tumble out of control and crash. It says here that over almost 6,000 of these missiles would land on England, killing over 8,000 people.
That's what got Mrs. Miniver.
That's true. Was it?
The younger Mrs. Miniver. The older Mrs. Miniver lived. The young wife died.
Okay, what do we have here? Oh, is this a Hurricane? Yeah, the Hawker Hurricane. It's the first modern airplane flown by the RAF, the Royal Air Force. So it was painted to represent an aircraft assigned to 33 Squadron in North Africa. Oops. Sorry. Stepped on Erica's foot again.
You back up unexpectedly.
I'd do that. So many historians credit these aircraft with doing as much, if not more, to help England survive the Battle of Britain than the Spitfire.
Really?
Spitfire kind of got all the glory because it's a better looking aircraft.
Yeah, it is.
But I believe that there were more of these flying during the Battle of Britain than there were Spitfires.
Oh.
And often what would happen is the Spitfires would tangle with the German fighters while the Hurricanes would go after the German bombers. And here we have the C-47. This is the aircraft that would drop paratroopers, as well as being used as a general cargo aircraft. And we can see here that this has the invasion stripes prior to D-Day painted on it. These invasion stripes were actually painted on very last minute. Historically, they were painted on basically the day before, so that the Germans wouldn't catch hold, and there'd be so that we could identify what aircraft were friendly and which ones weren't. They just would keep them on the aircraft afterwards, but they're often painted very sloppily and not as clean as neat as we see here. So we have here the P-39 Air Cobra. This is a pretty unique design in that the engine is mounted behind the pilot. So you can see I don't know what those are. Those are not air intakes, but exhaust. Exhaust, okay, yeah. So you can see the air intake there just above and behind the cockpit with the exhaust right there below the name, Gurley. This P-39 was not very popular with the US or the British. It's also unique in that it has a tricycle landing gear, which makes it pretty rare among American aircraft of World War II. The only other one I can think of with a tricycle landing gear is the P-38. But many of these were given to the Russians, who actually really liked it. believe it was not turbocharged, which is why it had very poor high altitude performance. The Russians would use it mostly as a ground attack aircraft. Okay. And over here is Consolidated PBY Privateer, which is basically a modified B-24 Liberator. Yep. So these are flown by the Navy for anti-submarine warfare. So it looks like they modified it probably to be able to drop depth charges as opposed to bombs, and it looks like they removed the ball turret. Although this is cool. Look at these side turrets. That is pretty unique right there. So instead of the open blisters like we saw on the B-24, this has an enclosed gun mount. Probably made them a little more aerodynamic, and you can see they removed the ball turret.
Yeah.
And replaced it. These have dual machine guns, whereas the B-24 would only have a single machine gun on each side. That is pretty cool. Okay. And over here we have a P-40. Immortalized by the Flying Tigers, although this is not one of those. Or it's not painted up like one anyway. But this is the model that was, I think this is probably a later model. This is a P-40E, so I believe this was not a exact Flying Tiger model. So this aircraft is reconstructed from parts of multiple aircraft. The early pilots, when they flew against the Japanese Zeros in these, they were not nearly as maneuverable. So they had to develop tactics basically which were to dive from a higher altitude, make a pass, and then use their superior horsepower to climb away. Right. So over here, a little break from the norm with an anti-aircraft gun. So it's a US 90mm anti-aircraft gun. Seems kind of sacrilegious to put anti-aircraft guns in an airplane museum. Come on, guys, that was funny. Yeah. Tough crowd, tough crowd. The Supermarine Spitfire, in my opinion, one of the most attractive aircraft of World War II. Regarded as the best British fighter of World War II, was the only one to remain in production throughout the entire war. So this is definitely a very lightweight model. This is Spitfire Model 14. So much later version. You can tell by the wing armament here. Which does it say? Nope, but it looks like they introduced these to a 20mm cannon. The early Spitfires were a little undergunned. So they basically used a rifle caliber weapon, unlike the US with a .50 caliber. So it looks like this has been modified post-war to be able to carry passengers behind the seat. But still, what a gorgeous aircraft. Although the wing design is definitely different. The earlier models had a kind of a more rounded wingtip. But what a gorgeous aircraft. And here's the engine. A V12 liquid-cooled engine. Look at the size of this thing. I'm not mad about this, but I do wonder why they have a tank out here when they have a tank museum next door. We'll be seeing that on a later video. Oh, okay, I get it. It's a little teaser advertiser. Okay. This seemed kind of weird to have a tank parked here in the middle of all these airplanes. So this is a British Comet 1. First entered in late 1944. So they definitely improved 76 millimeter high velocity cannon so it would actually be effective against the later German tanks. And here we have the Avenger, the TBM-3. So I swear nobody actually refers to the TBM-3, it's just the Avenger. A lot of planes, like if you say F4U, it goes, oh, they had a Corsair, but nobody remembers the TBM. Again, this is you notice the Air Force and the Navy had different numbering systems.
Yeah.
Because if this was an Army aircraft, it'd probably be like the B something or an A something. But in the Navy, so it's a TBM. And the TB, or the TBM, it stands for like a torpedo bomber.
Okay.
It was also designated a TBF. That's what I thought. Okay. Oh, gentlemen. Okay, I get it. Okay. So the Navy actually would mention the manufacturer of the aircraft in the that designator.
Oh.
So F4U Corsair is F for fighter,
Right.
4 for the series, and then the U was for Chance Vought. I don't know why they picked U for Chance Vought, but they did. And that was the manufacturer.
Okay.
So you see an F4F Wildcat fighter, number 4. F stood for Grumman.
Okay.
I don't know why they picked F for Grumman.
So does T stand for
So,
motor?
and here, well, it's the so he also designated the TBF as officially, but Grumman, so F for Grumman.
Yeah.
But Grumman says here that Grumman was overwhelmed of trying to build aircraft. Their facilities couldn't build enough, so this one was actually designed by Grumman, but built by General Motors.
Oh.
Hence the TBM designator. So this is the aircraft that the first President Bush flew when he was shot down.
Oh.
He was actually the youngest pilot in the Navy at the time. So these are considered very forgiving, very stable aircraft to fly. There's actually a famous video from a few years ago where there was a Avenger had some mechanical problems either before or during an air show, and it crash landed in the water off of Florida, like right off the beach.
Wow.
And people got video of it coming down and hitting the water. Well, the pilots survived and they recovered the aircraft.
Yeah. Nice.
So I'm going to cut up here these stairs and see if I can get a better view of it. They have it displayed with the wings folded, so it's hard to get a really good view of it. It's a little unfortunate.
I think it's cool.
It's cool that they have a show with the wings folded, but yeah, I almost have it on display with just one of the wings folded. I don't know if they could even do that. So we're gonna go up top here and get a view before going back down. It looks like they have a Japanese Zero or a mock-up of a Zero over there. We'll find that out.
Yeah, there are very few Zeros left. We saw one at the Pacific Air Museum in Honolulu.
Right. Most, quote, Zero, unquote, that you see are actually T6 Texans that are modified to look like Zeros. I don't know if there's any that are actually in flying condition. There might be one at the Plains of Fame in California.
This is a bomb service truck used in the Pacific Theater. And somewhere, and I don't know if we still have it because my parents got flooded out. We lost a bunch of stuff. There is a picture of my papa riding one of these exactly like that.
Papa is Erica's grandfather, her maternal grandfather?
My maternal grandfather who served in the Pacific Theater during World War II and was a Pearl Harbor survivor.
Yep.
Somewhere there is a picture of him riding one of these.
Yeah. So he said Erica's grandfather was at Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
And then served in the Army Air Corps for the rest of the war.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of great. My grandfather didn't leave for the Pacific until 1944, and he was at Okinawa. But he was able to be home for my mother to be born in September of 1944, and then he immediately shipped out and didn't come home for 2 years. And honestly, that's kind of crazy that he was gone for 2 years,
Yeah.
and leaving my grandmother with a newborn baby and only letters that would arrive like 2 to 3 weeks after they were written,
Yeah.
which is craziness. You know, like, I thought deployment was rough when Erica and I basically had to communicate by email and a once-a-week phone call.
But we had it so much better.
We really did have it so much better.